Thanksgiving dinner. 24 people crammed around Mom and Dad's extended dining table. My sister Angela stands up, wine glass raised, face glowing with triumph. "I have an announcement," she declares. "Mom and Dad are signing the family house over to me next week." Christy gets nothing. The room erupts in cheers. Cousins high-five her. Aunt Martha actually applauds. I smile calmly, fork halfway to my mouth, and turn to Dad. "Should I tell them? Or will you?" His fork clatters onto his plate. Angela's face goes white. "Tell us what?" she screams. 6 months before that Thanksgiving dinner, I was sitting in my downtown office debugging a software issue when my phone buzzed. Dad's name flashed across the screen. He never called during work hours. Never. "Christy, we need to talk. Can you meet me tomorrow morning? Just you and me." The tremor in his voice sent ice through my veins. "Dad, what's wrong? Are you okay? Is Mom okay?" "I'm fine. Your mother's fine. Just meet me at Miller's Coffee House on 8th Street, 9 o'clock. Don't tell anyone we're meeting." That last sentence hung in the air long after we said goodbye. Don't tell anyone. In our family, we told everyone everything. Sunday dinners, group texts, shared calendars. Privacy didn't exist. So why the secrecy? I barely slept that night. My mind churned through possibilities, each worse than the last. Cancer, financial ruin, divorce. By the time I pulled into Miller's parking lot the next morning, my hands were shaking. Dad sat in the back corner booth, cup of black coffee untouched in front of him. He looked smaller somehow, older. The 68-year-old man who'd built his own deck last summer suddenly looked fragile. "Thanks for coming," he said as I slid into the seat across from him. "Dad, you're scaring me. What's going on?" He took a long breath, and I watched his shoulders rise and fall. "I've been diagnosed with early-stage Alzheimer's disease. Doctor confirmed it 3 weeks ago after months of testing." The words hit like a physical blow. My father, the man who could remember every baseball statistic from the past 50 years, who never forgot a birthday or anniversary, whose mind was sharper than men half his age. "Dad, I'm so sorry. Does Mom know? Does Angela?" "Your mother knows. Angela doesn't. And that's part of why I needed to see you." He pulled a manila folder from the seat beside him. "I need to get my affairs in order while I'm still clear-headed. But Christy, something's not right. I've been noticing things. Your mother's been acting strange, secretive. She has these long phone conversations with Angela, and when I walk into the room, she stops talking." I leaned forward. "What kind of conversations?" "About the house, mostly. Angela's been pressuring your mother about it for the past 2 years. Ever since she got her real estate license, she's been obsessed with property values, development potential, all of it. She keeps telling your mother that she deserves the house because she stayed local while you moved away for your job." "I learned from the best," Derek replied. "You showed me what real strength looks like, not bailing people out, not making things easy, but standing firm on your principles even when it hurts." "Angela visits 3-4 times a week," Dad continued. "She brings groceries, helps with yard work, takes your mother to appointments. On the surface, it all looks wonderful. Dutiful daughter taking care of aging parents. But you don't think that's all it is. I think she's manipulating your mother. I think she's been working on her, wearing her down, making her feel obligated. And Christy, I can't prove it, but I think there's more going on. Money has gone missing from our savings account. Small amounts at first. 500 here, 1,000 there. Now it's bigger. Your mother says she doesn't remember withdrawing it, but the bank shows her signature." My jaw clenched. "How much are we talking about? Over the past 8 months?" "Somewhere around $78,000. The number hung between us like smoke. $78,000. My parents had spent their entire lives saving. Dad worked for the Postal Service for 42 years. Mom had been a school secretary. They'd scrimped and saved every penny, dreaming of a comfortable retirement. Have you confronted Angela? I can't prove she has anything to do with it. And if I accuse her without proof, she'll turn your mother against me. Christy, your mother is terrified of being a burden. Angela's been feeding into that fear. I hear her sometimes, telling your mother about nursing homes, about how expensive care gets, about how children have to sacrifice their own lives to take care of aging parents. Dad pushed the folder across the table. I've been keeping meticulous records of everything. Every bank statement, every withdrawal, every conversation I can document. It's all in here. And I need you to help me protect your mother and our assets. I opened the folder. Inside were months of carefully organized documents, bank statements with highlighted transactions, handwritten notes with dates and times, copies of emails and text messages. I want you to be co-trustee of the family trust, Dad said. I had the paperwork drawn up last week. Mr. Patterson, our attorney, has everything ready. This way, any major financial decisions require both our signatures. Angela won't be able to pressure your mother into anything without our knowledge. So here's my question for you. Have you ever had to set a difficult boundary with someone you love? Have you ever walked away from a relationship because staying was destroying you? How did it turn out? I'd love to hear your stories in the comments below. Not yet. I wanted to talk to you first. Christy, I need to know you're willing to take this on. It might get ugly. Angela won't like being blocked from whatever she's planning. I looked at my father, this man who'd taught me to ride a bike, who'd sat through every school play and baseball game, who'd helped me move into my first apartment. Now he was asking me to protect him. The important lessons usually are, Derek replied. We met with Mr. Patterson that afternoon. The paperwork took less than an hour. I signed my name on line after line, officially becoming co-trustee of the family trust alongside Dad. It felt formal, important, but also somehow sad, like we were acknowledging an ending. There's one more thing you should know, Mr. Patterson said as he gathered the documents. Your father asked me to conduct a property assessment last month. The family house sits on 2 acres that were recently rezoned from residential to commercial. I looked at Dad. What does that mean? It means, Mr. Patterson continued, that the property value has increased significantly. A developer approached your father 6 weeks ago with a preliminary offer. Christy, your family home isn't worth the $500,000 everyone assumes. With the commercial zoning and the location, it's worth approximately $3.7 million. The room tilted. $3.7 million. I'd grown up in that house. I'd learned to walk in that living room, had my first kiss on that front porch, left for college from that driveway. In my mind, it was just home. I'd never thought about it as an asset worth millions. Does Angela know about the rezoning? I asked. Dad shook his head. The rezoning happened 4 months ago. We got the notification in the mail, but I don't think your mother understood what it meant. I certainly didn't until the developer called. I haven't told anyone except Mr. Patterson. If Angela finds out what this property is really worth, he didn't need to finish the sentence. If Angela knew, she'd do whatever it took to get that house. And suddenly, her 2 years of pressure, her constant presence, her manipulation of Mom, it all made horrible sense. I drove home that evening with a knot in my stomach. My sister was plotting something. My father had Alzheimer's. My mother was being manipulated. And I was now the only thing standing between my family and financial devastation. I had no idea how much worse it was about to get. The Thanksgiving dinner from hell started innocently enough. I'd driven down that Wednesday evening, stopping to pick up the pumpkin pies Mom had ordered from the bakery she loved. The house smelled like turkey and sage stuffing, exactly the way Thanksgiving was supposed to smell. Angela arrived Thursday morning with her daughter Brianna, arms full of casserole dishes and an enormous floral arrangement for the table. She kissed Mom on the cheek, hugged Dad, and completely ignored me. Christy, you're actually here for once, she said as she swept past me into the kitchen. What a surprise. My brother and I are closer now than we've ever been. Not because I gave him money or fixed his problems, but because I respected him enough to let him fix himself. Austin is becoming a remarkable young man, not despite the hardship he's faced, but because of it. My parents are healthier, more honest, more present. Derek nodded, tears streaming down his face. I know that now. I know it because I'm living the consequences. We're in a small apartment. Linda's working retail for the first time in her life. Austin is mowing lawns to save money. And you know what? We're better for it. Angela held court at one end of the table, laughing loudly, refilling wine glasses, playing the perfect hostess in our parents' home. I watched her carefully, watched how she touched Mom's shoulder possessively, watched how she steered conversations, watched how she positioned herself as the devoted daughter while I was just the son who'd moved away. Of course I'll do it. Whatever you need. That's when Angela stood up. Of course I'll do it. Whatever you need. My stomach dropped. As you all know, I've been taking care of Mom and Dad for years now. Christy moved away for his career, but I stayed. I've been here for every doctor's appointment, every home repair, every crisis. And Mom and Dad have decided to reward my loyalty. I watched Dad's face. He'd gone pale. He opened his mouth to speak, but Angela rushed forward. They're signing the family house over to me next week. She beamed at the room. Christy gets nothing, obviously. He hasn't earned it. But I have. This house will stay in good hands. I promise to take care of it and Mom and Dad for as long as they need me. The room exploded. Cousins jumped up to hug Angela. Aunt Martha was actually applauding. Uncle Dennis raised his own glass in a toast. To Angela, the daughter who stayed. Everyone drank. Everyone cheered. Everyone except Mom, who looked like she might be sick, and Dad, whose hand trembled as he set down his wine glass. I sat perfectly still, fork halfway to my mouth, watching this performance with something close to awe. Angela had stage managed this perfectly. Public announcement, family pressure, social proof. Now if Mom or Dad tried to back out, they'd look like liars in front of everyone they loved. Brilliant. Cruel, but brilliant. I set down my fork very carefully. Then I smiled. The smile must have looked genuine because Angela smiled back, mistaking my calm for defeat. Dad, I said clearly, loud enough for everyone to hear, should I tell them, or will you? His fork clattered onto his plate. The sound cut through the celebration like a gunshot. Every eye turned to us. Angela's face went from triumphant to confused to white in about 3 seconds. Tell us what? Her voice had gone shrill. What is he talking about, Dad? Dad looked at me. I gave him a small nod. We'd talked about this possibility. We'd planned for it. But I could see in his eyes that he hadn't expected it to happen quite like this, quite so publicly. Angela, he said slowly, I never agreed to sign the house over to you. The room went silent. What? Angela's voice cracked. But Mom said, Mom, tell them. All eyes swung to Mom. She looked down at her plate, shoulders hunched. Helen? Aunt Martha prompted. What's going on? Mom's voice came out barely above a whisper. I wrote Angela a letter 3 years ago, after my knee surgery. I was on pain medication and she was helping me so much, and I told her. I promised her the house. I never saw this letter, Dad said firmly. Helen, did you show this to me? There, she promised me. In writing. I leaned over to look at the letter. It was handwritten on Mom's stationery, dated 3 years earlier. The handwriting was shaky, barely legible in places. Dear Angela, I want you to know how grateful I am for all your help. When the time comes, your father and I want you to have the house. You've earned it. Love, Mom. I never saw this letter, Dad said firmly. Helen, did you show this to me? Mom shook her head, tears starting to roll down her cheeks. I don't remember writing it. But that's my handwriting. Because you were high on pain pills, I said. Dad, when was Mom's knee surgery? August 3 years ago. She was on OxyContin for 2 weeks. The doctor said she might not remember much from that time. Angela's face flushed red. So what? She wrote it. It's a promise. Christy, you can't just swoop in after being absent for years and steal what's rightfully mine. Uncle Dennis stood up. Christy, this is Lo. Your sister has been taking care of your parents. You've been 3 hours away, living your life, while she's been doing the hard work. You should be ashamed of yourself. Other voices joined in. Cousin Rachel called me selfish. Cousin Mark said I was only interested now because of the property value. Aunt Martha said I'd always been the ungrateful child. The accusations piled up like stones. Each one landed heavier than the last. I sat there and took it, watching my family turn against me, watching Angela's satisfied smile grow wider. There's more you all need to know, I said quietly. But not here. Not like this. No! Angela slammed her hand on the table. Say it now. Say whatever lies you're planning to tell. Angela. Dad's voice cut through the chaos. Enough. But she wasn't done. After the guests left, after the dishes were cleared and put away, after Aunt Martha's final disapproving look and Uncle Dennis's lecture about family loyalty, Angela cornered me in the kitchen. I don't know what you think you're doing, she hissed, but I have a lawyer on retainer. If you try to contest Mom's promise, I will bury you in legal fees. I've been documenting every single thing I've done for them for years. Every grocery run, every doctor's appointment, every home repair. I have proof of my dedication. What do you have? A fancy job and an empty conscience? I have the truth, I said simply. Your truth means nothing. This family sees who's really been here. And it's not you. She stepped closer, and I could smell wine on her breath. I've already measured the house for renovations. I've already promised Brianna she'll inherit it someday. This is happening, Christy. You can either accept it gracefully or tear this family apart fighting me. But either way, I'm getting that house. She stormed out, leaving me alone in the kitchen with the leftover turkey and the ruins of what had once been a happy Thanksgiving. I started to load the dishwasher, my mind spinning through options, when I heard soft footsteps behind me. Mom stood in the doorway, mascara running down her face. Christy, I need to tell you something. I turned off the faucet and gave her my full attention. Angela has been. Mom's voice broke. She tried again. For months now, she's been showing me articles about nursing homes, about how much care costs, about children who have to sacrifice their careers and marriages to take care of aging parents. She tells me I'm becoming a burden. She says that if I don't plan properly, I'll destroy her life and yours. Mom, you're not a burden. She says I am. She says my memory is going, that I'm getting confused, that I need more help than your father can provide. Christy, I wrote that letter because I was scared. I was on those pills and everything was fuzzy, and Angela was there every day telling me how hard it was to take care of me, how much it was costing her, how she was sacrificing everything. She said if I promised her the house, she'd take care of everything. I wouldn't have to worry. I wouldn't be a burden anymore. The pieces fell into place. Angela hadn't just asked for the house. She'd terrorized our mother into promising it. Does Dad know about all this? Some of it, not all of it. I was too ashamed to tell him everything. And Christy, I'm scared of her. When she gets angry, she says things. She tells me maybe I'd be better off in a home. Maybe I'm too much trouble. Maybe she should just let the state take care of me. I pulled Mom into a hug. She felt so small, so fragile. This woman who'd been my rock growing up, who'd bandaged my scraped knees and stayed up all night when I had the flu, was being terrorized by her own daughter. Mom, I'm going to fix this. I promise you. But I need you to trust me, okay? Can you do that? She nodded against my chest. I should have called you sooner. I should have told you what was happening. You're telling me now. That's what matters. After Mom went to bed, I sat in my old bedroom and stared at the ceiling. The same ceiling I'd stared at as a kid, as a teenager, as a college student home for the holidays. This house held every memory of my childhood, and Angela was trying to steal it through manipulation and fear. My phone buzzed. A text from Dad. Did your mother talk to you? Yes, I typed back. We need to act fast. Agreed. Come to breakfast tomorrow. Just us. We'll make a plan. I tried to sleep but couldn't. Somewhere in this house, Angela was probably sleeping soundly, dreaming of her victory. She had no idea what was coming. Friday morning, I met Dad at the same coffee shop where this had all begun. He looked exhausted, like he hadn't slept either. Your mother told me everything last night, he said without preamble. Every conversation Angela's been having with her, every veiled threat, every manipulation. Christy, I had no idea it was this bad. What do? We investigate. We gather evidence. And we stop her before she can do any more damage. He pulled out his phone. I've already called Mr. Patterson. We have an appointment at 10. The law office was in a converted Victorian house downtown, all dark wood and leather chairs. Mr. Patterson greeted us in his conference room, a stack of folders already laid out on the table. "Gentlemen, I'm glad you called. I have some concerning information to share." He opened the top folder. "Angela came to see me twice in the past 3 months. She claimed she was just trying to understand the family trust structure. She asked very specific questions about how to simplify things, how to remove trustees, what would happen if you, Mr. Christie, were found to be acting against the family's best interests. She was looking for loopholes," I said. "Exactly. I told her nothing, of course. Attorney-client privilege applies to your father, not to her. But her questions were very pointed. She's been planning this for a while." Dad opened his own folder, the one with all his documentation. "What about the money? The withdrawals from our accounts? That's where things get interesting." Mr. Patterson pulled out a stack of bank statements. "I subpoenaed these yesterday after your call. Your wife has withdrawn $78,342 over the past 8 months. Every withdrawal was just under $10,000. "Why that amount?" I asked. "Because banks are required to report cash transactions over $10,000 to the federal government. It's an anti-money laundering provision. Whoever advised your mother on these withdrawals knew exactly what they were doing. They were trying to avoid scrutiny." The implications hung heavy in the air. Angela had researched this. She'd planned it carefully. "Where did the money go?" Dad asked. "That took some digging." Mr. Patterson pulled out another document. The cash was deposited into an account at First National Bank. The account is titled Home Care Fund for Parents and lists both your wife's name and Angela's name as account holders. "So Angela has access to it," I said. "Full access. And according to the bank records, she's been the only one making transactions on the account. Your mother's never even received a statement. They're sent to Angela's address." Dad's hands curled into fists on the table. "What has she been using the money for?" "That's what we need to find out. I recommend hiring a private investigator, someone who can follow the money trail and document Angela's activities." "Do it," Dad said immediately. "I don't care what it costs." Mr. Patterson made a call, and by that afternoon, we had an investigator. Her name was Jennifer Walsh, a former police detective who now specialized in financial crimes. She had gray hair pulled back in a tight bun and eyes that missed nothing. "Give me 3 days," she said after reviewing our documentation. "I'll know where every penny went." While we waited, I did my own investigation. I drove to Angela's house, a modest 3-bedroom ranch she'd bought 5 years earlier. Her car was gone. Her daughter Brianna was at school. The house looked normal, well-maintained, nothing extravagant. But something didn't add up. Angela worked as a real estate agent, but the market had been slow. According to her public social media, she hadn't closed a sale in 4 months. So how was she affording her lifestyle? I spent the next 2 days watching. I know it sounds creepy, but I needed to understand what we were dealing with. I watched Angela leave her house each morning in expensive workout clothes. I watched her meet friends for lunch at restaurants that cost $50 a plate. I watched her get her nails done, her hair colored, her car detailed. None of it proved anything, but it painted a picture of someone living well beyond their means. On the 3rd day, Jennifer Walsh called. "You need to come to my office." Now, Dad and I sat across from her desk while she laid out photographs like playing cards. "Your sister purchased a Range Rover 3 weeks ago," Jennifer said, sliding the first photo across. It showed Angela at a luxury car dealership, signing paperwork, $65,000. Paid in cash. The next photo showed Angela at an upscale boutique, arms full of shopping bags, designer clothes. I tracked her credit card statements. In the past 6 months, she spent $18,000 on clothing alone. More photos. Angela at a spa. Angela boarding a plane. Angela at a beachfront resort. "She took a vacation to Hawaii last month," Jennifer continued. "First-class flights. 5-star hotel. 7 days. Cost approximately $12,000. Dad's face had gone from pale to red. "That's our money. That's our retirement." It gets worse. Jennifer pulled out a manila folder bulging with documents. "Remember that home care fund account? I tracked every transaction. In 8 months, Angela has withdrawn $62,000 for personal use. The receipts she's been showing your wife, claiming they're for groceries and prescriptions and home repairs, they're fake. She spread out a series of receipts across the desk. They looked professional, printed on thermal paper, dated and itemized. These are fabricated, Jennifer said. I contacted every business listed on these receipts. None of them have any record of these transactions. Angela has been using graphic design software to create fake documentation. I picked up one of the receipts. Morton's Hardware. Home repairs and supplies, $840, $3. It looked completely legitimate. She's good, Jennifer admitted. If you weren't looking closely, you'd never question it. But I am looking closely. And Christy, there's more. I found something that suggests this goes beyond simple theft. She pulled out her laptop and turned it toward us. On the screen was a document, a purchase agreement. She took a vacation to Hawaii last month, Jennifer continued. First-class flights, 5-star hotel, 7 days, cost approximately $12,000. Dad leaned forward, squinting at the screen. But she doesn't own the property. How can she sell it? She can't. But look at this. Jennifer pointed to a signature line. She's representing herself as having power of attorney for both you and your wife. This signature here? It's supposed to be yours. It was a decent forgery, not perfect, but good enough that it might pass a casual inspection. She forged my signature? Multiple times. I found 3 different documents with your forged signature, all related to this sale. The closing is scheduled for 6 days after the trust signing she thinks is happening next week. Her plan appears to be, get the house transferred to her name through your wife, immediately sell it to Braddock Development, take the money, and disappear. Disappear? I repeated. Jennifer pulled up another browser window. She put a deposit down on a beachfront condo in Charleston, South Carolina, $250,000, non-refundable. The condo closes 30 days after the property sale. The room spun. This wasn't just theft. This was a comprehensive plan to steal millions of dollars and abandon our parents. What about Mom and Dad? I asked. What was she planning to do with them? Jennifer's expression darkened. I found browser history on Angela's laptop. I can't legally use it in court, but I can tell you what I saw. She's been researching state-funded nursing homes, the bare minimum facilities, places with 1-star reviews and abuse complaints. She's also been looking into how to have someone declared mentally incompetent. Dad made us sound like he'd been punched. She was going to take the money and dump us in the worst facility she could find, he said quietly, and probably have us declared incompetent so we couldn't fight back or access any remaining funds. That's my assessment, Jennifer said. Mr. Christie, your sister isn't just greedy, she's dangerous, and you need to stop her before that closing happens. We left Jennifer's office with 3 boxes of evidence, photographs, bank statements, forged documents, fake receipts with metadata showing they'd been created on Angela's computer, browser history, travel records, everything we needed to prove exactly what Angela had been planning. We could go to the police right now, I said as we loaded the boxes into Dad's truck. No, Dad said firmly. I want her to understand what she's done. I want her to see it all laid out in front of her. I want her to know that we know. Then we go to the police. Dad, she might run if we tip her off. She won't run. She thinks she's already won. Her arrogance will be her downfall. He closed the truck bed and turned to me, set up a family meeting. Tell Angela we're ready to do the trust signing. Make it seem like we're giving in. Invite everyone who was at Thanksgiving. I want witnesses to everything. Are you sure? He looked at me with an expression I'd never seen before. Not anger exactly, something colder, more final. I raised that girl. I changed her diapers and taught her to ride a bike and paid for her college education. I loved her with everything I had, and she was planning to lock your mother and me away in some hellhole facility while she lived on our money. Yes, Christy, I'm sure. I want her to see exactly what she's destroyed. I made the calls that afternoon. Angela answered on the first ring. Dad pushed the folder across the table. I've been keeping meticulous records of everything. Every bank statement, every withdrawal, every conversation I can document. It's all in here. and I need you to help me protect your mother and our assets." Dad and I talked. "You're right. You've been here. You've helped. I've been absent. If Mom wants you to have the house, then that's what should happen." Silence on the other end. Then, "You're serious?" "I'm serious. Dad wants to do the trust signing next Thursday at Mr. Patterson's office. He wants the whole family there. Can you make it?" "Of course I can make it." Her voice had gone syrupy sweet. "Christy, I'm so glad you're being reasonable about this. This is what's best for everyone. You'll see." "Yeah," I said. "I'm sure I will." After I hung up, I looked at Dad. "It's done. Thursday at 2 o'clock. "Good." He opened one of the evidence boxes and pulled out a photo of Angela at the car dealership, smiling as she accepted the keys to her new Range Rover. 6 more days. Then she answers for what she's done. The weekend passed in a blur of preparation. Dad and I met with Mr. Patterson 3 times, going over every detail, planning every word, anticipating every possible reaction. Jennifer Walsh delivered her final report, a comprehensive document that laid out Angela's crimes in devastating detail. Sunday evening, I sat down with Mom privately. She needed to understand what was going to happen, what we were going to reveal. I expected tears, denial maybe, some maternal instinct to protect her daughter despite everything. Instead, Mom listened to everything with a growing expression of horror and then said something that broke my heart. I knew. Deep down, I knew something was terribly wrong. I just didn't want to believe my own daughter could do this to us. "Mom, none of this is your fault, isn't it? I wrote that letter. I made those withdrawals. I signed those bank forms. While being manipulated and coerced, while on medication, while being told you were a burden and needed to make amends. Mom, Angela weaponized your love and your fear. That's not on you." She wiped her eyes. "What happens on Thursday?" "Justice," I said simply. "Angela thinks she's coming to collect her prize. Instead, she's going to face the truth of what she's done. Will she go to jail?" The question hung between us. Would I really do that to my own sister? Would I put her in prison? I thought about the fake receipts, the forged signatures, the nursing home research, the plan to abandon Mom and Dad in some state-funded facility, while Angela lived in luxury on their money. "Yes," I said. "If the prosecutor agrees to press charges, then yes, she'll go to jail." Mom nodded slowly. "Good, because what she was planning to do to us. Christy, that's not my daughter. I don't know who that person is." Monday morning, Dad got a call from his doctor. The Alzheimer's was progressing, not rapidly, but steadily. He had maybe 3 to 5 years of clarity left, maybe less. "Then we handle this now," he said after hanging up. "While I can still testify clearly about what happened, while I can still make sure your mother is protected." That afternoon, I met with the detective Jennifer had recommended, a woman named Sarah Chen, who worked in the financial crimes unit. I laid out everything we had. She reviewed the evidence with the methodical focus of someone who'd seen it all before. "Elder financial abuse," she said finally. "Fraud, forgery, identity theft. Possibly conspiracy if she had help from anyone at the development company. Mr. Christy, your sister is looking at serious prison time." "How serious?" "If the DA goes for maximum charges, 15 to 25 years. With the amount of money involved and the vulnerability of the victims, they'll want to make an example of her. 15 to 25 years. I tried to imagine Angela in prison. Failed. She was my sister. We'd grown up together, shared a bathroom, fought over the TV remote, built blanket forts in the living room. "Are you having second thoughts?" Detective Chen asked gently. "No, I'm just processing. What your sister did is serious. She didn't just steal money. She systematically abused and manipulated vulnerable elderly people. She forged documents. She planned to abandon your parents in substandard care. This isn't a momentary lapse in judgment. This is calculated, sustained criminal behavior." "I know. Then be ready for Thursday. Once we move forward, there's no going back." I spent Monday night going through old photo albums, pictures of Angela and me as kids, Halloween costumes and birthday parties. Her high school graduation, her wedding, the birth of her daughter Brianna. Where had it gone wrong? When had my sister become someone capable of this level of cruelty? Or had she always been this way, and I just never noticed? Tuesday, Angela texted me. Thanks again for being reasonable. I know this has been hard for you, but trust me, this is the right thing for Mom and Dad. I'll take good care of them. I stared at that text for a long time. The absolute certainty in her words. The complete lack of self-awareness. She genuinely believed she was the hero of this story. I didn't respond. Wednesday, the day before the confrontation, I drove to the property where I grew up. The house looked the same as it always had. White siding, blue shutters, the maple tree in the front yard that Dad planted when I was born. But now I saw it differently, not as home, but as the thing that had broken my family apart. $3.7 million. That's what this house was worth. But it had cost us so much more than money. It had cost us trust, honesty, the bond between siblings, the safety Mom should have felt with her own daughter. I sat in my car and tried to imagine what the next day would bring. Angela's face when she realized she'd been caught, the moment the police arrived. The look in Brianna's eyes when she learned what her mother had done. My phone rang. Dad, Christy, I need you to know something. No matter what happens tomorrow, I'm proud of you. You came home when we needed you. You uncovered the truth. You protected your mother. That's what family is supposed to do. I just wish it hadn't come to this. I know. Me too. But son, some people make choices that can't be forgiven or forgotten. Angela made her choices. Now she has to live with the consequences. Thursday morning arrived cold and clear. I put on a suit, which felt absurdly formal for what was essentially the destruction of my family. But Mr. Patterson had insisted. This is a legal proceeding, he'd said. We treat it with appropriate gravity. I picked up Dad at 11. Mom was staying home. She couldn't bear to watch Angela's downfall in person. Are you ready? I asked as Dad climbed into my car. He looked at me with red-rimmed eyes. No, but we're doing it anyway. Mr. Patterson's conference room had been set up like a courtroom, a long table at the front for the attorneys, chairs arranged in rows for family members, a podium for presentations. He'd taken this seriously. Angela arrived first, dressed in an expensive cream-colored suit I'd never seen before, probably bought with Mom and Dad's money. She had her hair professionally styled. Diamond earrings sparkled at her ears. She looked like someone preparing for a celebration. Behind her came Brianna, 17 years old and uncomfortable in a dress. The girl kept glancing at her mother with an expression I couldn't quite read. Confusion, maybe, or concern. Then the rest of the family filed in. Uncle Dennis and Aunt Martha, cousins Rachel and Mark, Aunt Susan, Uncle Tom, everyone who'd been at Thanksgiving, plus a few others. 15 people total, all crammed into Mr. Patterson's conference room. Angela worked the room like a politician, shaking hands, accepting congratulations, thanking people for their support. She caught my eye across the room and gave me a satisfied smile. This is going to be wonderful, she said to Aunt Martha, loud enough for me to hear. I've already started planning renovations. The house has so much potential. And of course, Mom and Dad will be well taken care of. I stayed silent, standing against the back wall with Dad beside me. At exactly 2 o'clock, Mr. Patterson called the room to order. Everyone found their seats. Angela sat front and center, Brianna beside her. Dad and I remained standing in the back. Thank you all for coming, Mr. Patterson began. We're here today to discuss the family trust and the future of the family property. However, before we proceed, there are some matters that need to be addressed. Angela shifted in her seat. Can we just get to the signing? I have a lot to do this week. I'm sure you do, Mr. Patterson said dryly. But first, I need to review the property in question. The family home sits on 2 acres of land. Due to recent rezoning, the property value has increased substantially. He clicked a button, and a presentation appeared on the screen behind him. Property records, zoning maps, assessment documents. The current appraised value of this property is $3.7 million. The room gasped. Multiple people turned to look at Dad. Aunt Martha's hand flew to her mouth. Angela's face flickered through several expressions. Shock, then calculation, then a forced smile. Well, that's wonderful news. Mom and Dad, I had no idea the property was worth so much. But don't worry, I'll make sure you're taken care of. I'm sure you will, I said from the back of the room. Her eyes snapped to me. What's that supposed to mean? It means, I stepped forward, that we know about your deal with Braddock Development, the purchase agreement you signed for $4.1 million, the closing date scheduled for next week. Every eye in the room fixed on Angela. She went very still. I don't know what you're talking about. Really? Because I have the contract right here. I pulled out a folder and handed it to Mr. Patterson, who displayed it on the screen. There it was. Angela's signature, the agreed price, the closing date, and most damningly, the section where she claimed to have power of attorney for both Mom and Dad. This is a misunderstanding, Angela said quickly. I was just exploring options for Mom and Dad's future, in case they decided to sell. Exploring options by forging Dad's signature? I pulled out another document, the power of attorney paperwork with Dad's forged signature. Mr. Patterson put it on the screen next to a sample of Dad's real signature. Even to a casual observer, the differences were obvious. Uncle Dennis stood up. Angela, what is this? It's lies. Christy is making this up because he's jealous. He can't stand that Mom and Dad chose me. Did they choose you? I asked calmly. Or did you manipulate Mom into making a promise while she was on pain medication? Dad, did you ever agree to give Angela the house? No, Dad said firmly. I never agreed to any such thing. Mom wrote me a letter. Angela pulled out the same letter she'd shown at Thanksgiving. She promised me, a letter written while she was heavily medicated, being told repeatedly that she was a burden, I said. A letter written under duress and manipulation. Mr. Patterson, can you explain the legal standing of such a document? It has none, Mr. Patterson said. A promise made under the influence of prescription medication and emotional coercion has no legal weight. Angela's face flushed red. This is ridiculous. I've done nothing wrong. I've been taking care of them. I've been the only one here. Have you? I pulled out the next folder. Let's talk about the $78,000 withdrawn from Mom and Dad's savings account. The money that went into the home care fund, account that only you control. Mr. Patterson displayed the bank statements, every withdrawal, every deposit, the account with both Mom's and Angela's names, but only Angela's activity. That money was for their care, Angela insisted. Groceries, medications, home repairs. I have receipts for everything. Yes, you do have receipts. I pulled out the stack of fabricated documents. Receipts you created on your computer using graphic design software. Receipts for transactions that never happened at businesses that have no record of serving you. Jennifer Walsh stepped forward from where she'd been standing quietly in the corner. I'm a private investigator. I contacted every business listed on these receipts. None of them have any record of these transactions. The metadata on these digital files shows they were created on a computer registered to Angela's home address. The room erupted, voices overlapping. Aunt Martha demanding explanations. Uncle Dennis looking between Angela and me in disbelief. Where did the money really go, Angela? I asked over the noise. Silence fell. I'll show you. I nodded to Jennifer, who pulled up a new presentation. The Range Rover purchase, the Hawaii vacation, the designer shopping sprees, the spa treatments, the country club membership. Every fraudulent expense, documented with photographs and receipts. $62,000 spent on personal luxury items, while telling Mom and Dad you were sacrificing everything to care for them, I said, while researching state-funded nursing homes to dump them in after you took their money. That's not true, Angela shouted, but her voice had lost its conviction. Isn't it? I pulled out the final piece of evidence. Printed browser history, screenshots of nursing home websites. You researched facilities. You looked into how to have someone declared mentally incompetent. You planned this down to the last detail. Brianna stood up, tears streaming down her face. Mom, please tell them this isn't true. Angela looked at her daughter. For a moment, I thought she might confess, might show some remorse. Instead, she pointed at me. This is all his fault. He's been planning this. He wants to steal their money for himself. He's been poisoning them against me. Actually, a new voice said from the doorway, he's been trying to protect them. Detective Sarah Chen stepped into the room, followed by another uniformed officer. Angela's face went white. What is this? Angela Morrison, you're under arrest for elder financial abuse, fraud, forgery, and identity theft. Detective Chen pulled out handcuffs. You have the right to remain silent. No. Angela backed away. This is insane. I didn't do anything wrong. Dad, tell them. Dad stood up slowly. His face was wet with tears. You planned to lock us away in some terrible facility. You stole our money. You forged my signature. You manipulated your mother until she was terrified of being a burden. Angela, I don't even know who you are anymore. I'm your daughter. Angela's voice cracked. I stayed. I helped. I earned that house. You earned a prison sentence, Detective Chen said. She moved forward with the handcuffs. Angela bolted. She actually tried to run, pushing past Aunt Martha, heading for the door. But the uniformed officer was already there. In seconds, she was restrained, handcuffs clicking into place. This isn't over, Angela screamed as they led her toward the door. I'll fight this. I'll prove Christy made it all up. You'll see. Brianna sobbed openly. Aunt Martha held her, stroking her hair. Uncle Dennis sat down heavily, his face gray. As Angela was led out, still screaming threats and accusations, the room fell into shocked silence. Mr. Patterson cleared his throat. I think we should adjourn for today. Nobody argued. The aftermath of Angela's arrest spread through our family like wildfire. Within hours, everyone knew. Within days, it was the only topic of conversation. Aunt Martha called me that evening, her voice shaking. Christy, I'm so sorry. At Thanksgiving, I said terrible things to you. I had no idea what Angela was really doing. It's okay, Aunt Martha. It's not okay. I should have questioned her. I should have wondered why she was so eager to get that house. But she played the dutiful daughter so convincingly, and you were far away, and I just assumed. You assumed the best of your niece. That's not wrong. Still, I'm sorry, and I'm proud of what you did. Protecting your parents like that took courage. Uncle Dennis called next. Then Cousin Rachel. Then Cousin Mark. One by one, everyone who'd sided with Angela at Thanksgiving called to apologize, to express shock, to say they should have known better. I accepted each apology gracefully, but inside, I was still angry. Where were these people when Mom was being terrorized? When Dad was watching his daughter steal from them? When Angela was systematically destroying our parents' sense of security? But I kept those thoughts to myself. The family was fractured enough without me adding to the damage. The hardest call was from Brianna. Uncle Christy? Her voice was small, broken. Can I talk to you? Of course, sweetie. Did Mom really do all those things? The fake receipts and the forged signatures and the nursing home plans? Did she really? I took a breath. Yes. I'm sorry, but yes. I feel so stupid. I believed her. She told me Grandma and Grandpa wanted her to have the house. She said it was all arranged. She even told me I'd inherit it someday, I thought. I thought she was just being a good daughter. It gets worse. Jennifer pulled out a manila folder bulging with documents. Remember that home care fund account? I tracked every transaction. In 8 months, Angela has withdrawn $62,000 for personal use. The receipts she's been showing your wife, claiming they're for groceries and prescriptions and home repairs, they're fake. What's going to happen to her? I don't know yet. That depends on the district attorney and what charges they decide to pursue. Will she go to prison? Probably. Yes. Silence on the other end. Then, good. That single word carried so much pain. Brianna had just lost her mother, not to death but to something arguably worse, to the realization that the person she'd trusted most was a fraud and a criminal. Brianna, your grandparents still love you. This doesn't change that. You're always welcome in this family. Even after what Mom did, you didn't do anything wrong. You're a victim here too. She started crying. Thank you, Uncle Christy. Thank you for stopping her. I can't believe I'm saying this, but thank you for having my mom arrested. 2 weeks after the arrest, I got the call from Detective Chen I'd been waiting for. We've completed our investigation. It's worse than we initially thought. How is that possible? Your sister has done this before. 5 years ago, in Maryland, she scammed her ex-husband's elderly mother out of $120,000. Similar pattern. Gained trust, manipulated the victim, forged documents, stole money. The ex-husband discovered it but chose not to press charges because his mother was dying, and he didn't want to put her through a trial. My blood ran cold. So Mom and Dad weren't her first victims. No. We found evidence of at least 2 other elderly individuals she befriended and stole from in smaller amounts. Your sister is a serial predator who specifically targets vulnerable elderly people. The DA is pursuing maximum charges. What does that mean? With the pattern of behavior, the amount of money involved, the vulnerability of the victims, and the multiple counts of fraud and forgery, she's looking at 15 to 25 years in prison. And Christy, the DA wants to make an example of her. Elder abuse is a growing problem. They want to send a message. 15 to 25 years. My sister would be in her 50s when she got out. Brianna would be in her 30s. Half a lifetime lost. There's one more thing, Detective Chen said. Angela's lawyer approached the DA about a plea deal. What kind of deal? She'd plead guilty to reduced charges in exchange for a lighter sentence. Maybe 8 to 10 years instead of 15 to 25. What did the DA say? They're considering it, but they want your father's input. He's the primary victim. His opinion matters. I called Dad immediately. We met for coffee, our usual spot, our war room for this entire ordeal. What do you think? I asked after explaining the plea deal offer. Dad stared into his coffee for a long time. She's my daughter. I love her. Or I love who I thought she was. I don't know anymore. That's not an answer, Dad. I know. He looked up at me. Part of me wants to show mercy, wants to give her a chance at redemption. But Christy, she wasn't going to show us any mercy. She was going to take everything and abandon us. If you hadn't discovered what she was doing, he didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. The DA needs an answer by Friday, I said. Tell them no deal. If Angela wants a lighter sentence, she can earn it by showing genuine remorse and cooperating fully with the investigation. But I won't help her escape consequences for what she did. I relayed Dad's message to Detective Chen. 3 days later, Angela rejected the plea deal anyway. Her lawyer issued a statement claiming she was innocent, that she'd been framed, that the evidence was fabricated. She was going to trial. The court proceedings took months. Angela's lawyer tried every trick in the book, claimed the evidence was obtained illegally, suggested that Dad's Alzheimer's made him an unreliable witness, attempted to paint me as the real villain, jealous and scheming. None of it worked. Jennifer Walsh's investigation had been thorough and legal. Dad's testimony, given while he was still clear-headed, was devastating. The forensic evidence, the metadata on the fake receipts, the bank records, the forged signatures, all of it was airtight. The trial lasted 3 weeks. I sat through every day of it, watching my sister lie on the witness stand, watching her try to manipulate the jury the way she'd manipulated our mother. But this time, nobody was buying it. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. Guilty on all counts. At sentencing, the judge looked at Angela with an expression of deep disgust. You specifically targeted your own elderly parents at their most vulnerable. You manipulated your mother's medical condition and your father's cognitive decline for personal gain. You showed no remorse, no empathy, no recognition of the harm you caused. This court finds your behavior to be particularly heinous. 18 years in prison, restitution of all stolen funds plus damages. Upon release, you will be prohibited from any contact with your parents or any elderly individuals without court supervision. Angela stood frozen at the defendant's table. 18 years. She'd be 53 when she got out. As the bailiff led her away, she turned and looked at me one last time. Not at Dad, not at Mom, at me. The look in her eyes wasn't remorse. It was pure hatred. I'd saved our parents, but I'd lost my sister forever. 3 months after Angela's sentencing, Dad and I sat in the office of the developer who'd initially approached him about the property. The original developer, not the one Angela had secretly dealt with. $3.7 million is our final offer, the developer said. The property is perfect for the mixed-use development we're planning. Retail on the ground floor, residential above. It'll revitalize the whole neighborhood. Dad looked at me. I nodded. We accept, Dad said. The paperwork took 2 weeks. The closing took another month. And then, suddenly, my parents had $3.7 million. The first thing they did was repay themselves the $78,000 Angela had stolen. The court had ordered Angela to make restitution, but she had no assets left. Everything she'd bought with the stolen money had been seized and liquidated, but it only covered about $40,000. Mom and Dad decided not to pursue her for the remainder. She's already in prison, Mom said. That's punishment enough. Next, they bought a beautiful condo in a retirement community, 30 minutes from my place. 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a small balcony overlooking a lake. Fully paid, no mortgage. The community had a nurse on staff, activities, a dining room for when Mom didn't feel like cooking. We should have done this years ago, Mom said the day they moved in. No more worrying about maintenance or yard work. Just peace. They set up trust funds for all 4 grandchildren, including Brianna. Despite everything, they couldn't punish her for Angela's crimes. Each grandchild would receive $250,000 when they turned 25. Brianna didn't ask for any of this, Dad said when I questioned the decision. She's a victim too. Maybe this will help her build a life that's nothing like her mother's. Dad's Alzheimer's progressed slowly over the next year. Some days were better than others, but he was getting excellent care. Mom had stopped looking over her shoulder, stopped jumping at every phone call, stopped apologizing for existing. The rest of the family healed too, though differently. Uncle Dennis and Aunt Martha became weekly visitors. Cousins Rachel and Mark organized a family reunion, something we hadn't done in years. We took you for granted, Rachel said to me at the reunion. You were the one who left, so we assumed you cared less. But you're the one who came back when it mattered. You're the one who protected them. One afternoon, about 6 months after the sentencing, I got an unexpected visitor. Brianna, now 18, stood on my doorstep with a nervous smile. Hi, Uncle Christy. I hope it's okay that I came by. Of course. Come in. We sat in my living room, and she twisted her hands in her lap. I start college next month. State University. I'm majoring in social work. That's wonderful, Brianna. It's because of what happened, with Mom and Grandma and Grandpa. I want to help people like them, vulnerable people who get taken advantage of. I want to be the person who notices when something's wrong. Your grandparents would be so proud of you. I wrote Mom a letter. Did you know that? I shook my head. I told her I loved her, that she's still my mom. But I also told her what she did was unforgivable, that she needs to spend her time in prison figuring out how to be a better person. I don't know if she read it. The prison said it was delivered, but she hasn't responded. I'm sorry, sweetie. Don't be. I needed to say it, whether she hears it or not. And Uncle Christy, I wanted to say thank you. If you hadn't stopped her, who knows what she would have done next. Maybe she would have hurt other people. Maybe she would have dragged me into it somehow. You saved Grandma and Grandpa, but you might have saved me too. After Brianna left, I sat on my porch and thought about everything that had happened. The discovery of Dad's Alzheimer's, the investigation, the confrontation, the trial, the rebuilding. He clicked a button, and a presentation appeared on the screen behind him. Property records, zoning maps, assessment documents. I thought about what success meant. For years, I'd measured it by my career, my salary, my downtown apartment. But sitting there on my porch, watching the sun set, I realized that the most important thing I'd ever done was come home when my family needed me. With part of my inheritance, I'd started a nonprofit, the Elder Protection Initiative. We provided free investigations for families who suspected financial abuse. We offered legal assistance. We trained people to recognize the warning signs of manipulation and exploitation. In our first year, we'd helped 37 families, 37 sets of elderly parents who were being stolen from, manipulated, gaslit by people who were supposed to love them. Every case reminded me of Mom and Dad, and every case I solved felt like I was honoring what they'd been through. Dad's 75th birthday fell on a warm Sunday in September. We gathered at his and Mom's condo for a small party. Just family, no drama, no hidden agendas. After dinner, as we sat around eating cake, Dad asked me to say something. "You're better with words than I am," he said with a smile. I stood up, looking around at the faces of people I loved. Uncle Dennis and Aunt Martha, cousins Rachel and Mark, Brianna, home from college for the weekend, and Mom and Dad, sitting side by side on their couch, holding hands. "I've been thinking a lot about what family means," I began. "For a long time, I thought it was about biology, about shared history, about the people you grow up with, and all of that's part of it. But what happened to us taught me that family is really about something else." I looked at Dad. "It's about integrity. It's about protection. It's about doing what's right, even when it's the hardest thing you've ever done. It's about standing up to people you love when they're on a destructive path, not because you want to hurt them, but because you can't stand by and watch them hurt others." I learned that being a good son isn't about living nearby or visiting every week, though those things are important. Being a good son means being there when it matters. It means having uncomfortable conversations. It means confronting hard truths. It means choosing to protect the vulnerable even when the threat comes from someone you care about. I raised my glass. "Dad, you trusted me enough to make me co-trustee. You trusted me enough to act when you sensed something was wrong. That trust changed everything. It gave me the tools to protect you and Mom, and it taught me what real strength looks like. Mom, your courage in finally telling the truth, even though you were scared, even though Angela had made you feel like a burden, that courage saved you. It saved both of you. What Angela did was terrible, but in a strange way, it taught us what matters, not property or money or inheritance. What matters is dignity, respect, ensuring that the people who spent their lives building something beautiful get to finish their journey with peace and security. This house was never really about the house. It was about making sure two people I love could live out their years safely, comfortably, without fear. And we did that, together. I turned to address everyone. To anyone watching someone they love age, here's what I learned. Trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Ask questions. Get involved. Don't assume that geographic proximity equals moral superiority. Love is about action, not location. Protect your vulnerable family members fiercely. Check in on them. Review their finances. Know who's helping them and why. And if you discover someone is taking advantage, act immediately. Call the authorities. Get legal help. Don't let shame or family loyalty stop you from protecting someone who can't protect themselves. Greed destroys families, but truth and courage can rebuild them. We're proof of that. We almost lost everything to someone who valued money over love, but we're still here, stronger, wiser, more grateful for each other. I raised my glass higher. Happy birthday, Dad. Thank you for trusting me. Thank you for teaching me what it means to fight for the people you love. Here's to many more years together, living the life you and Mom worked so hard to build. Everyone drank. Mom wiped tears from her eyes. Dad stood up and pulled me into a hug. "I'm proud of you, son," he whispered. "So damn proud." As the party wound down and people started leaving, I stood on the balcony looking out over the lake. Brianna joined me. "That was a good speech," she said. "Thanks. Do you ever regret it? Having Mom arrested?" I thought about it honestly. Sometimes. But then I remember what she was planning to do to your grandparents. I remember the nursing home research and the forged documents and the plan to take everything. No, I don't regret it. I regret that it was necessary. I regret that she made choices that led to that moment. But I don't regret protecting people who needed protection. I think I understand that now. For a long time I was angry at you. But Mom made her own choices. You just stopped her from destroying more lives. You're going to do important work, Brianna. Helping people like your grandparents. Making sure they're safe. She smiled. That's the plan. Inside, I could hear laughter. Dad telling a story. Mom's voice chiming in with corrections. the sound of a family that had been broken and put itself back together. I thought about Angela, sitting in a prison cell 200 miles away. I'd tried to visit once. She'd refused to see me. Her lawyer said she still maintained she'd done nothing wrong, that she was the victim of a conspiracy. Maybe someday she'd understand. Maybe someday she'd feel genuine remorse for what she'd done. Maybe, in 18 years, she'd walk out of prison a changed person. But that was her journey. Mine was here, with the family I'd protected and the parents I'd saved. As I watched the sun set over the lake, I realized something profound. Success isn't measured in salary or square footage or property value. It's measured in the people you protect, the stands you take, and the courage you show when everything is falling apart. I'd come home when my family needed me. I'd uncovered a terrible truth. I'd fought to protect vulnerable people from someone who should have loved them, and in doing that, I discovered something about myself I never knew was there. I was stronger than I thought, braver than I believed, and willing to sacrifice a relationship to prevent harm to people I loved. That was the real inheritance my parents had given me. Not property or money, but values, integrity, the understanding that some things are worth fighting for, even when the fight costs you everything. Behind me, Dad called my name. "Christy, we're cutting the second cake. Get in here." I turned away from the sunset and walked back inside to my family. The family I'd saved. The family that was learning to trust again. The family that was proof that even after betrayal and theft and heartbreak, love could win. Not the easy love that requires nothing, but the hard love that demands everything. The love that shows up, that asks questions, that confronts evil even when it wears a familiar face. That's the love worth having. That's the love worth fighting for. And that's the lesson I'll carry for the rest of my life. Before I close, I want to ask you something. Have you ever had to make a difficult choice to protect someone you love, even when it meant confronting someone else you care about? How did you find the courage to do what was right when everything in you wanted to look away? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might help someone else who's facing a similar situation right now. If this story resonated with you, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel. Stories like this matter because they remind us that we're not alone in facing difficult family situations. And if you know someone who might benefit from hearing this, please share it with them. Sometimes we all need a reminder that protecting the vulnerable is worth whatever it costs. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it encourages you to trust your instincts, ask hard questions, and stand up for what's right, even when it's painful. May you have the courage to protect the people you love, and may you never have to face what my family faced. But if you do, I hope you'll remember that truth and courage can rebuild what greed destroys. Take care of each other out there.